If your clay is dried out when you're working with it at home, you can hand recycle. In class, we use the pug mill. But what you'll have to do is tear it apart in pieces about the size of a ping pong ball, completely submerge it in water, and then you're just pressing with your thumbs and folding it over and pressing and folding. So we know to heal cracks, we rub water on the surface of it, but in order to rehydrate the body of the clay, the whole piece of clay, we have to get the water into the middle. So by pressing and folding, I'm pushing that together, and you're gonna feel that it's kind of slimy on the outside because we're basically making a layer of slip on the outside. And you'll know when it's completely recycled when that slime is no longer on that outside, because it's gonna be worked into the body of the clay and it'll rehydrate it. So when you feel that slip start to go away, you just roll it into your hands, roll it into a ball. So it should just look like plastic clay at this point. Put it to the side and repeat. So you're gonna have a lot of pieces of clay that you're gonna be working with. So once you recycle many pieces of clay, you attach them together, okay? Now, when I push this clay together, I might be trapping air bubbles. So we have to do something called wedging. So when you wedge, you're getting the air bubbles out of the clay. That's why I tell you guys to get new clay instead of smashing pieces together to re-roll it. So I do a spiral wedge, and what it looks like is I'm just pushing the clay and spinning it at the same time. So in slow motion, my hands go like this and I'm pressing it. You can see that I flattened one side a little bit. Then I lift it up, turn it, and press. And I press and turn. And what you want to go for is making a cone shape or a ram's horn, because it kind of makes that spiral on the backside. Now you don't want to do this too many times on newspaper because it's going to start absorbing that moisture. Okay, so when I've created that conical shape on one side, then I can turn it and do my other side. So what that does, you're not going to hear the air bubbles pop, but it pushes it to that exterior surface of the clay. All right, so then I can press my clay together into a sphere. If I have any large dents, I take my thumb and I press those together, or folds in the clay. So I smooth those out and I continue smoothing out, getting it ready for our pinch pot. Any dent, any crack or crevice is just gonna get larger when we're working with it. So once I have wedged it, once I've made my sphere, and I have one prepped so you don't have to sit there and watch me make a sphere, then I'm ready to start my pinch pot. What I'm gonna be doing is placing my thumb straight down. I don't do it flat, I do it straight down, and I wanna go about that far. So if you're starting this, you're going, well, how far down do I push? Okay, you're gonna kind of feel the pressure on the palm of your hand when you're working with this, and then you're gonna pinch and turn. So I'm pinching between my thumb and my fingers, and I'm using a duck finger pinch instead of doing a claw or a crab, because that's going to create really, really thin spots to where this is going to make it nice, flat, and even. So I just pinch and I turn, and I'm holding it in my hand. I'm not putting it down on the table, and I'm making sure that my hands are straight up and down. So my walls will go straight up and down. If I go like this, that's where the walls are going to go. So make sure that you're pressing straight up and down, and really all I'm pinching is this bottom layer right here. I'm not even worrying about the top, keeping my hands straight up and down. And then I'm going to move my fingers up because I've already gone through one layer, and I'm going to continue pressing. You do not need to get the thickness correct the first time that you pinch through this. So you can see it's starting to make a little pot that I've pinched open. That's why we call it pinch pot. You want to make sure that this area right here gets pinched as well, so you don't have a really thick base on it. So I'm just going to pinch and turn. And then what I have you guys do is a roll. So you can see that this thickness is about the thickness of my finger right here. Don't go any thinner than that to start off with. I'm going to take a little bit of water and I'm going to place it on the inside of the pot. And what I'm going to do is actually roll it on the table. So I'm putting pressure on the table. I really don't even need this top hand for anything besides guidance. And I'm rolling it on the table. The water on the inside allows my fingers to glide. And what this will do is start to thin out your walls a little bit more, but it'll also even out your walls. It's kind of like throwing on the wheel. And then I establish a bottom by tapping on it. Now I need to continue pinching my walls here to thin those out a little bit more. And I don't want to roll once my walls get too thin. So I can continue smoothing out and working the pinch pot here. The next video will show you how to perfect the pinch pot. You may need to let this get leather hard before you start the next step, but you want to thin out these walls a little bit more before. So you do want it thinner than your finger when you start to allow it to dry out a little bit and get leather hard. And so I'm just lightly pinching, keeping my fingers even, because wherever you pinch, you're gonna get those thick and thin spots. And so you can see this wall is starting to come together. I just move my fingers along the edge lightly. If you end up doing something like this and pinching, and you have a pinch pot that looks like this with really thin walls, I can't help you. Grab a new piece of clay, start over, okay? When you have your walls nice and even, that's when you're gonna start letting it dry out, and then you'll watch the next video, which is perfecting your pinch pot.